Our daily schedule includes convocation, prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance. By doing so, we build a family-like community where all students grow and flourish and personal faith is encouraged. Through community service and a historic way, honesty, respect, and responsibility. Oak Mountain Academy. We are a family creating legacies. To learn more, visit oakmountain.us.
National headlines and the local stories you care about. WLBB, Carrollton, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.
Well, hey there and good morning. Time right now is 8:30. This is the Community Voice program on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. You can use your TuneIn app to access that, or, of course, just go to our website. Also, this morning, we're on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Thanks to Joel Brock for handling those duties this morning. Matt Skinner pressing the buttons behind the glass there. Appreciate both of those young gentlemen helping us out this morning. We're going into round 2.5 probably, we can call it that, as far as the elections here locally. We're about 1 month away from runoff elections. There's 3 that are affecting Carroll County on that August 11th race, but only one will be the reason all the polls open. Every single polling place will open in Carroll County for this one race in particular. It's for State Court Judge of Carroll County. If we go back to... was it to June? Is it June the 9th? Is that when Election Day was for this? June 9th, if you go back to that race, for State Court Judge, there are 3 candidates, Nathaniel Smith, Erica Tysinger, and my guest this morning, his name is Matt Lane. The result of that race, Tysinger had 48.7% of the vote, Lane with 35.5%, but nobody getting the 50% plus 1 vote. So that's going to result in this runoff again, which is August the 11th. And I believe to be eligible to vote in that race, they need to register to vote by Monday. Is that true, Matt?
That's correct. I think yes, I think Monday is the last day.
It's the last day for that. Okay. You've heard him talk here. Matt Lane, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll try to make this interview a little different than the one we did back in, was it February?
It was February.
Yeah, that we had you on. But we'll touch on some things that are familiar to that interview, but I'll try and go a little bit different. First of all, what do you think about the runoff process? Just your perspective on that. I mean, do we like the way runoffs are handled now? Would you rather just see it straightforward, whoever wins, or even the possibility where you've got 5 candidates and then they're all ranked? The first place gets 5 points, fourth place gets 4 points, and then we put those together. I know it's state law, and that's what you'll accept. But what do you think about that process?
Well, first I want to say good morning to all your listeners, and I know that I'm being streamed on Facebook and viewers. I was about to say, and good morning to all the viewers. And thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. I believe strongly that a candidate should receive over 50% of the vote. So I think that I believe in the runoff process. So that's my feeling on it, and I support the law as is.
So this race would have been in April initially? Is that
it was supposed to be, I believe, May 19th. And okay. Then the runoff was going to be in July. But because of COVID, everything got pushed back.
So that's a good 7-8 months of campaigning, even though you'd already probably decided last year that you wanted to seek election to this seat. Again, Bob Sullivan's the current judge, and he announced he was going to retire after the current year. But that's 7, 8 months of hard campaigning. I guess you started out being able to go door to door and things.
Well, right? I've been wanting to run for judge for a number of years, and as you and I were talking prior to this starting, you said you'd heard scuttlebutt. For a number of years that I was waiting to run for state court judge. So this isn't something I just decided to do in the last year, something I've been planning for, like I said, for a long time. I actually started raising money this time last year in July of 2019. And actually in February of 2019, I started telling people in city council and county commissioners and our state legislators that I intended to run for state court judge. So it's been almost a 2-year process for me, or getting close, or a 1.5-year process for me. Mm-hmm. I just knocked on my first door in Villa Rica, I still remember, on January the 4th. So I stopped knocking on doors in March when COVID started. I think, and we've started back knocking on doors, and we've knocked on over 5,000 doors in Carroll County.
And when did you get back into, or have you got back to knocking on doors and attending meetings? And
Well, really, I've just started knocking on doors where I'm talking to people since the after the June 9th primary. I've been staying 6 feet, sometimes wearing masks. It just depends on what the voter wants me to do. I always ask.
Well, early voting for the August 11th runoff election. It begins July the 20th. It's going to last until Monday through Friday, 8 till 5 every day. And you'll do that at the elections office in Carrollton, 423 College Street. And then on Election Day, August the 11th, all the polling places will be open. The other races that could affect Carroll County, the District 18.
Correct.
Yeah, District 18 race. And then the Democrats will be voting for their representative who would challenge it. It was District 30, right?
Correct.
Mike Dugan's seat.
Correct.
That'll be on ballots as well. So 3 races affecting Carroll County, but this is the only race that every single voter in Carroll County will have a chance to cast a ballot on. It's always important with this. We talk about judges just in conversation, but what are the differences between each level of judgeship that affects us locally? We talk, state court judge. What's the difference between state court judge and superior court judge and all these judges?
Well, we have a number of courts in Carroll County. We have the superior court. We have the state court. We have the probate court. We have the magistrate court. We have the juvenile court. And then you have municipal courts. Those are the city courts. So city of Whitesburg, city of Carrollton, city of Villa Rica, city of Bowden all have their municipal courts where you would basically mostly try traffic violations and ordinance violations. You have the juvenile courts that listen to juvenile issues. You have the probate court that listens to estates, custody issues, conservatorships and guardianships. You have the magistrate court that can listen to disputes up to $15,000 and damages money. If you sue somebody over $15,000, you're going to have to go to state court or superior court. The difference between superior court and the state court is that we say superior court has general jurisdiction. Every county in Georgia has a superior court. That does not mean that the judge lives in that county. So, for example, Heard County and Meriwether County have a superior court. They have a superior courthouse, but the judges do not live in Heard County or Meriwether County. They travel there. They travel the circuit. So a superior court judge can hear everything from an appeal on workers' comp to divorce, adoption, to felonies and misdemeanors, felonies being murders, aggravated assaults, misdemeanors being DUIs. They can listen to contract disputes, commercial disputes, landlord lease, everything under the sun. The state court has what's called limited jurisdiction. There's only 70 state courts in the entire state, which means only 70 counties have state courts. And a state court does not listen to family law. So a state court judge cannot listen to adoptions, child custodies, legitimizations, divorces. So anyone with that experience is not going to be applicable in state court. Further, state court does not listen to felonies. They only listen to misdemeanors, and those types of cases would be DUIs, batteries, family violence. And further, state courts don't listen to cases called title to property. It's property disputes. But they listen to everything else that a superior court does, except what I've just explained they don't listen to or try.
Well, then talk about your experience, why you fit into you're the expert in that. You have this knowledge to become a judge.
Well, my first thing that I think is extremely important is that if you look at the caseload for Carroll County State Court, in 2019, there are 10,980 cases filed. I want to say that again, 10,980 cases filed. That's for one judge to listen to in Carroll County. Of those, only 159 are civil cases, means non-criminal. The remainder, which is almost 11,000 over 10,000 cases, are criminal. So basically, over 90% of all cases in state court are criminal. And what sets me apart from my opponent is that I'm a former assistant district attorney and a current criminal defense attorney. So I have the knowledge to go ahead on day one and be ready to understand what the law is, what the criminal procedure law is, and start trying cases.
We talk about 11,000 cases for state court in 2019
Correct.
that were filed. I imagine a lot of those were slowed down this year. I mean,
They are slowed down.
yeah. So typically out of 11,000, how many do you think would be seen within that first year that they're filed?
Well, of those, I would say zero. Yeah. I would say zero of the almost the 11,000 that were filed in 2019. Mostly the criminal cases are going to, as a criminal defense attorney, one strategy you might employ is to continue to hopefully push that case into the future, into the hopes that the victim either moves away or that the prosecutor can't locate the victim or can't locate the arresting officer because the arresting officer has taken a new job, maybe in Metro Atlanta. We do have some turnover with our local law enforcement. Some of the local law enforcement that might work at the city of Temple or work at the city of Mount Zion or even work at the city of Carrollton might go ahead and go to Metro Atlanta because the pay is higher. So as a defense attorney, that is something you employ, is to continue to push those cases down in the hopes that when it's time for your case to finally get on the docket, that the victims or the witnesses or the arresting officers are no longer around.
Well, as a judge, you would hope to be able to give the give it the time in court. You would hope, how do you make that happen? Is there something that can be done in our state court right now to make that happen faster?
Well, to make it be done faster, one thing I've done when I was on city council, I led the drive to have the city of Carrollton help pay for an additional solicitor. A year ago, we only had 2 prosecutors in state court. Doug Vassey, who's known as the Solicitor General, and his assistant, Becky Jackson, who is now the Solicitor General, or the new prosecutor, which is similar to being an ADA, the district attorney, okay? And the city of Carrollton has a budget of $52 million, was the last budget of 2019, 2020. And that had 300 employees. When I was on city council, the Carroll County Commission had a budget of $52,600,000 employees. So we all know that the city of Carrollton has the same amount of budget, basically, that Carroll County has. And so what I did, I decided, and the city of Carrollton has been paying for an additional assistant district attorney for the DA's office in the Superior Court to prosecute felony cases. So I came up with the idea, why doesn't the city of Carrollton help pay for another solicitor for our state court here in Carroll County to help the citizens of Carroll County and the citizens of Carrollton? Because when these cases get postponed, these criminal cases, this is affecting the victims. The victims are not getting their day in court. They're having to wait to get their day in court. And so I led that fight. And so one thing that I did on city council was get an additional solicitor. So one thing we could do is hopefully go back to the county commission and ask for additional funding for more solicitors, if possible, to help move these cases along. I have a strong work ethic. I would probably be having a lot more jury trials, do as many jury trials as I possibly could fit in. So that's what I would do to try to get these cases moving along.
Matt Lane is one of 2 candidates for state court judge for Carroll County. Election day is August the 11th, and early voting begins on July the 20th. We'll talk with Erica Tysinger, who's also in this runoff election. We'll have her on the program. I think Monday. She's coming up on Monday's program. So hope you watch today with Met, and then watch and listen on Monday with Erica Tysinger. We'll take our first break and come back and continue our conversation with Matt Lane on the Community Voice program here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
At Oak Mountain Academy, our academic excellence shines through innovation and a personalized educational experience. Our pre-K 3 through 12th grade environment offers a family-oriented atmosphere. We are an independent school with faith-based values and an academy honor code. Our academic standards prepare our students for college and beyond. I'm Patrick Duran, headmaster, inviting you to visit us on the mountain or at oakmountain.us. Come see how our warriors are creating legacies.
For more than 70 years, you have turned to Tanner Health System for your healthcare needs. As our community moves forward, Tanner is here for you. Strong, safe, and close to home. Routine medical appointments, urgent elective surgeries, and imaging are back on the calendar at our hospitals and Tanner Medical Group practices. With the safety of our patients, staff, and community always our top priority. Learn more at tanner.org. #WeAreTannerStrong. That's tanner.org. #WeAreTannerStrong.
844, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. We're getting ready for the runoff election, which is coming up August the 11th. 3 races affecting Carroll County. One of those is for a state court judge. And the 2 names on the ballot, Erica Tysinger and Met Lane. Met Lane, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Questions and comments, do encourage you to post things up on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page, and I'll take a look at those. I probably should have during the break to see if anybody had any questions or comments. Do you know, we'll talk about your experience in, putting yourself in the position to work with in the courtroom. Do you have experience in being a plaintiff or a defendant that you can fall back on any of those feelings, like when you're in the courtroom, and understand what they're feeling and where they're coming from?
Are you asking if I've ever been sued personally?
Have you ever been sued? Have you had to sue? Have you been in that position to where you've been the plaintiff or defendant?
Basically, you're almost asking, have you committed malpractice and been sued? I have been sued, but not for malpractice. I was actually sued by a former criminal defense attorney who I got off, and he thought he overpaid me, and he sued me in magistrate court in front of Judge Brewer, and Judge Brewer found no wrongdoing at all. He found that the contract was enforceable. It was the gentleman only paid me $2,000, and he had been charged, I think, with a family violence, and we were able to get the case dismissed, and he thought that because he got dismissed that he shouldn't have to pay me for my work. So yes, I have been sued, and so I can sympathize with the plaintiffs and with defendants.
And that is, that's the reason I asked that question. I wonder, can you put yourself in there, the people that are, being put out in front of you in court?
Well,
is everybody? Do we all have the same access to good defense? If you're a defendant, do we all have access to the same representation?
Well, I believe you do. I think we have an outstanding public defender's office. I think that they will do the best they can with the resources that they have to defend you. If you have the opportunity if you don't have the money, you can go to, like I said, you can go to the public defender's office. If you do have the money, you can go hire your own private attorney.
If you were the judge and you were made aware of maybe some potentially unethical conduct by an attorney, what would your role as a judge be? Would you have to step in and do something? Would you have to investigate into that?
Well, it depends on how bad this lawyer, what exactly they're doing. Mm-hmm. For example, there's a story that a judge told me of one attorney appearing before him that they thought was intoxicated. And so the judge just called him over, talked to him, and in the judge's opinion, he did not think he was under the influence of anything. So it depends on what is going on in the courtroom. I'd follow the rules of judicial conduct.
What are those? I'm not aware of those. I just wondered if you again, to help the defendant at all, to make sure they have the great representation.
Oh yeah, I would definitely make sure that that's the job also of the defense attorney to maybe ask for a motion of mistrial. But if I thought I saw something that was that the defendant wasn't getting a fair representation, I would step in if possible. Again,
Do you have any other anything else that you think you're an expert in, other than law?
Well, an expert. I feel like gosh, I hate to say this, but I'm not an expert as being a father or being a husband, but I try to be an expert with my family. I'm still married. I've been married for 17 years. I have 3 wonderful children, all under the age of 11. I think they're well disciplined. We're Christians. We give them we teach them strong morals. We discipline them. We don't shy away from using the rod. And we don't believe in putting children in timeout. And we think that all we hear from the community, from teachers, is how well our children behave. So I hope I'm answering your question.
A public servant, elected official, should they be part of public service? Should they be volunteering and be part of other groups as well?
Well, I think so. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Is this something that should come along with the job? If you're an elected official, should you be volunteering and being part of other things?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, what other things do you volunteer for?
Well, at this time, nothing, because running for political office for Carroll County, a county of 120,000 people, and since I've been running for almost a year, I'll be honest with you, and also having to run a law firm, having to have my business and having to have my wife, who's an at-home mother with 3 children, and then running a campaign countywide, it doesn't allow me to do anything for the community. I wish I could. That I'm just stretched. I want to be honest about that.
Before we take our second break here, what are the most influential things in your life? Maybe it's a person, maybe it's an event. What influences your decisions and your actions on a day-to-day basis?
Well, number one, my most influential person is Jesus Christ. I am a Christian, and I study the Word and the Bible. Other are my parents. They have instilled in me a love of public service. My mother taught at Villa Rica. My dad fought in Vietnam in 1968 during the Tet Offensive. They have taught me public service is helping people, making a difference in people's lives. That's what drew me to being a lawyer, was to make difference in people's lives. But the problem being a lawyer, you only get to make a difference in somebody's law maybe a few times a year. But I think as a judge, you can make a difference every day. And that's why I'm seeking this position.
Matt Lane is our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. We're going to take our final break, come back with about 8 minutes. Matt is one of 2 candidates on the runoff for the ballots August the 11th for State Court Judge for Carroll County. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy and News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
For more than 70 years, you have turned to Tanner Health System for your healthcare needs. As our community moves forward, Tanner is here for you. Strong, safe, and close to home. Routine medical appointments, urgent elective surgeries, and imaging are back on the calendar at our hospitals and Tanner Medical Group practices. With the safety of our patients, staff, and community always our top priority. Learn more at tanner.org. #WeAreTannerStrong. That's tanner.org. #WeAreTannerStrong.
A well-rounded education includes much more than just academics. At Oak Mountain Academy, we encourage our students to find their niche in any of our 42 co-curricular opportunities. Over the past 5 years, we have brought home 5 state and 20 regional athletic titles. Our one-act play and literary teams continuously compete at the region and state level, and our academic teams bring home first place more than not. We are warriors creating legacies. To learn more, visit oakmountain.us.
Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com and the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. I did tell you I would take a peek there and see if we have any questions this morning. Let's see. Hi, Matt. Can we count on you to rule based on the wording of the law and not legislate from the bench?
Absolutely.
Can we elaborate on that, or is that just...
Well, no, I am a conservative. I'm a proud conservative. To me, being a conservative means limited government, personal responsibility, and strong traditional family values. And it also means, as a judge, that you do not legislate from the bench. You go by the law, even if you disagree with it. I was talking to one Superior Court judge, and it was a drug case, trafficking case. The police had pulled over a individual. We call them mules when they transfer a tremendous amount of cocaine on I-20. And the defense attorney had filed what's called a motion to suppress, alleging that it was a bad stop, that the police had just pulled this individual over, not for any traffic violation, just because they thought this person could possibly be transferring drugs. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And they filed this motion to suppress the evidence, and the judge upheld the motion, meaning the case was dismissed. And the judge was telling me, I knew the gentleman was guilty. I knew he had cocaine, but I had to follow the law. I disagreed with that decision, but I had to follow the law because the police didn't do their job in this particular incident. And that's the kind of judge I hope to be, or I will be, is follow the law, even if I disagree with it.
How do you deal with difficult people, whether it's a client or an attorney or a judge, what your experience in dealing with things? Well, somebody that you find to be difficult.
Well, that's an excellent question. I'd rather say this, if I can answer this way. I think a good qualification of a judge, number one, is temperament, is that you want a judge who's on the bench, who's level-headed, who doesn't lose his cool, who treats everyone with dignity and respect, even when they lose their cool. Judge Sullivan does an excellent job of that. I've never seen him raise his voice anytime I've appeared before him. Quite frankly, all our Superior Court judges, I think, have the right temperament. Number two, you want a judge that doesn't prejudge a case. You judges' jobs, people probably don't know this, but they're very boring jobs. I'll be quite frank. You're basically, it's almost being a college professor. You're reading a lot of paperwork, and you want to read everything that both parties file, what the defense files, what the plaintiff files, or what a criminal defense attorney files, and what the solicitor files. You want to read their paperwork, and you want to go into the courtroom with an open mind. So that's a very important qualification of a judge. And those are qualifications that I think that I have. I know I have those qualifications.
As far as your legal career, what do you think is your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment, I'll have to say, being an assistant district attorney. I enjoy being a civil attorney, I really do. But quite frankly, I fight over money. When I have clients come, they pay me a tremendous amount of money, and we're fighting over money, and I'm always telling them, listen, for every dollar you pay me, you better get a return, or you don't need to file a lawsuit against this individual or this company. But being an assistant district attorney, it was enjoyable going to work every day and helping the public and being a public servant.
Having one state court judge for Carroll County or for any county, is that ruled by the state? Is that more of a money thing? That
is a money thing that would be decided by the county commissions, the county commissioner, excuse me. And that might be explored sometime in the future. That's a political question that I just don't want to go into, because that, again, would be something for the county commissioners. But Carroll County only has one state court judge. Coweta, I believe, has 2 state court judges. Troup County has 1, but they only have a population of 60,000. We have a population of 120. And Douglas County has 2 state court judges. So there might be a time when the county commission decides that there's a time to have another state court judge.
Well, look at this, 12,000 that were filed in 2019. And we don't know how many were filed in 20 that hadn't, that are nowhere near being seen. Is it reasonable to believe that you can recoup that money if you get another judge? I mean, through state court, is there revenue to generate there?
There's a possibility. My understanding is that state court, through fines, usually generates between $80,000 to $100,000 a month. So maybe anywhere from $800,000, $900,000 a year to over $1 million is what state court generates for the county in fines.
How about staff for the state court office?
The staff is just the judge and his assistant. You got the clerks, but again, that they work for Alan Lee, who's the clerk of court, who's elected countywide.
All right, Matt, we got 1 minute and a half here. Give you a chance to say again, bump into you on the street. I'm like Matt, heading to the polling place. Why am I going to pick you in this race?
Well, you're going to pick me because over 90% of all the cases are criminal cases. We need somebody who's had that experience. We don't need anybody who needs on-the-job training. We need somebody who can, on day one, start working. We need a conservative, and that's what I am. And we need somebody who has the right temperament and who will be disinterested, who will being disinterested will come in with an open mind, listen to both sides. And we need somebody with strong moral fiber, which I have, and strong ethics.
Matt Lane, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, one of 2 candidates for state court judge for Carroll County. Again, Election Day is August the 11th. I believe, would we say the 20th? Is that when early voting starts?
It starts, 20th? Correct.
And you'll be able to do that at the Carroll County Elections Office here in Carrollton. Erica Tysinger, she's also on the ballot, and she'll be our guest on Monday's WLBB Community Voice program. Hope you'll review this show and compare it with Tysinger on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.